So guys, the first ingredient that is obviously the most important is all-purpose flour. In this case, I'm using the Sasco products. You can just use any other product of your choice. And then I'm going to use sunflower oil. I'm just gonna use like a spoon of it, so not a lot. And then I'm going to use instant yeast. Also, you don't have to use instant yeast, you can use active yeast. And then I'm going to use some salt. And this is just the spoon that I'm going to use to measure my yeast. It's half a tablespoon. So I went ahead and got myself a bowl. It doesn't really need to be this bowl, you can use a glass one. And then I've got my cup here that I'm going to use to measure the flour that I'll be using. So the first thing that I'm going to do is unsettle the flour first before I measure it, because measurement is about volume. And when you measure with cups, basically it's just about volume, so you don't want to end up measuring something that is more than what is needed. So that's why I was just unsettling the flour. So I did use 2 cups of flour because I was going to make 2 pizzas that day. So if you're going to make 1 pizza, you can just go ahead and use 1 cup. The reason why I was using 2 cups was for that specific reason. And then I went ahead and put in my salt. So I'm going to open my instant yeast. So the reason why I'm using instant yeast, guys, is because it's the most common one in South Africa. So if you do have active yeast and you know how to use it well, then you can go ahead and use that. So I'm going to put in half a tablespoon of the yeast. If you are going to be using 1 cup, then you need to put half of that. And then, guys, I'm going to add in some water. The water needs to be lukewarm. It should not be warm. This is very important. The water should never be warm. It should be lukewarm. Otherwise, you're just going to ruin everything. I'm just going to drizzle the sunflower oil because I felt so lazy to use the spoon. Otherwise, if you feel like you might pour in the wrong amount, then you can just go ahead and use any spoon of your choice. So I'm going to pour in the water. Guys, the water really, this is very important. The water should not be warm, because once it is warm, you will just ruin this whole thing, because your dough is going to be hard and stiff and you will not be able to knead the dough. So it needs to be lukewarm. So if you are not sure whether your water is lukewarm, just put in a finger, stick a finger into the water. Then if the temperature doesn't change, then it is lukewarm. I'm gonna go ahead and flour the surface area that I'm gonna be using to knead my dough. And then you don't really need to mix everything up in the bowl. You just need to, you're going to knead it on the surface that you have floured. It can be anywhere, guys. You can use your table. I would use this table also if I felt it was clean enough. Otherwise, I don't feel like it is clean because I do a lot of things here. I put books here, I put bags sometimes. It's just not solely for cooking, so that's why I just put in that. And this is a trick that I use, guys. I put a wet cloth so that the tray doesn't move around. That's why I put in the wet cloth, because the tray was moving around a lot and it can be quite disturbing when you're doing something like this. So this is me kneading the dough. You need to knead the dough. I don't feel like you can skip this process. Also, if you feel like it is still on the wet side, you can keep adding some flour to it. So this is the technique that I'm using to knead the dough. If you're not sure how to, I just use my palms to push it back, and then I use my fingers to pull it back. down, and I do that over and over again. I'm not sure if you can see that process there. I'm pushing it and pulling it back, I'm pushing it and pulling it back, and then pushing it and pulling it back, and using my other hand to just turn it around. And I'm just gonna do that over and over again, and that is just the process of kneading the dough. This is very important because it activates the gluten in the dough, so it is important. Also, how you know that the dough is now fine, it's the right it's how it's supposed to be, because if you can't tell if the dough is wet enough or if it's dry enough, this is one way to see it. If it doesn't stick on your fingers anymore, like if you can do this, if you can knead and it doesn't stick on your fingers anymore, then it is good, you are good to go. You don't need to be adding any more flour. But if it is still sticking, when you push it back, it's still sticking and it's still wet, then you just drizzle some flour and keep kneading until it is just the right way, until it is this way that you are seeing right now. So you just keep pushing it back and pulling it back up to you. Push it down and pull it back with your fingers, and you can use your other hand to twist it, to move it around, or if you have your own technique, you can also use that. I'm just saying this one for beginners, for people who are not experienced with kneading, and it is a great exercise for people who like exercising. I do not exercise, I don't like exercising, but yeah, I like food, so I have to do this. Also, you're going to have to do this for a minimum of 10 minutes. You will just knead the dough for a minimum of 10 minutes, because anything less than that, for me, I feel like is just less time and it's just not enough. And 10 minutes seems very reasonable for me, and I have never done anything less than 10 minutes. I always knead my dough for 10 minutes or longer, for 10 to 15 minutes. So you just need to do this for a minimum of 10 minutes. So I'm showing you guys that it can stick, so you do need to add some flour, drizzle some flour if it sticks, so that you are able to just move it around and you're able to just knead better, and it's so easy for you to just do this whole process. So you just need to add some flour if you feel like your dough is now sticking on your tray, or it is sticking on the tabletop that you're using, so that your job is just easier. So when I'm done, I just twist it around like that into a ball, and this is just me showing you how I fold it like that with my fingers. I just fold my fingers, I fold my finger on top of the other while I twist it around so that it is just shaped into a ball. And if you have any other way of shaping it into a ball, you can use your other way. So I was just going to use this bowl. I was going to put it here, and using the sunflower oil, obviously I'm rubbing it on my dough so that it doesn't stick. But I discovered the bowl was actually small, so I went and got a bigger bowl. So the function of the sunflower oil is just so that the dough doesn't stick. So I went ahead and started the process of my toppings. So I'm going to be using mushrooms as one of my toppings. So this is just me cutting up the mushrooms. You don't really need to use mushrooms on pizza, as you know. You just use whatever toppings that you want to use. If you don't want to use any vegetable, you don't have to use any vegetable. So this is just what I prefer. So this really is about preferences. Right now, you just prepare whatever that you need to prepare for the pizza that you need to make or that you want to make. So I want to make a chicken and mushroom pizza, so that's why I'm cutting up my mushrooms. And if you're going to use the mushrooms, do make sure that you wash your mushroom, guys. Like, just wash them up. Also, I'm using a lot of mushrooms because I'm going to be making 2 pizzas, so that's why there's so much. And also I was going to keep the mushrooms for something else. I'm going to keep them in the fridge and I'm going to use them for something else, so that's why I just decided to cut them up all at once. So I went ahead and cut up an onion because I'm also going to be using that. So here I'm just showing you that the onion is really wet. So this is just why I prefer to put my onion on the heat first before I put it on the pizza. I just kind of put it in there, you know. So right here I had my oil in my pan and it was hot. I was using coconut oil, but you can use any oil of your choice. So this is just my chicken breast that I have diced up. So I didn't feel like I needed to show you guys the process of me dicing up the chicken breast. I also did put in my mushrooms and onions in oil for just 2 minutes, and I did lose the tape of me doing that. Otherwise, I was already done with the mushrooms and the onion. I just put them in hot oil, guys, and I just put in salt and pepper and I moved them around for 2 minutes and then I took them out. So now I have the chicken breast in my pan, and this you're gonna do for a minimum of 5 minutes, a maximum of 5 minutes, because they cook fast. So I just went ahead and put in my salt, and then I put in my black pepper, and I did just move it around in the pot for 5 minutes until I was satisfied that they were well done. If you're not sure if they're well done, you can just take out one piece and bite it out, or just open it up. Also, if you just really need to be sure, you can go ahead and do that. So after I felt like they were done and I was satisfied with how they were cooked, I then took them out to a separate bowl, and then I got my diced tomatoes. You don't want to do this, guys. Make sure that your pan is not too hot before you put them in, because you know it can just mess up your stove. Otherwise it won't really do anything much. So I did leave my pan to be too hot. So that's why, you know, it was just jumping up when I put in the tomatoes, but it's really just not going to do anything. This is paprika. So I went ahead and added paprika. Guys, the sauce is really important, by the way. You need to do it. And then I added some coriander. You just add in your favorite spices. And I added more like a pinch of cumin, guys, not a lot. So if you're going, just in case you're going to use my ingredients. And then I added turmeric. So these are just my favorite spices, and that's why I used them. So don't add anything that you're allergic to, and you don't need to add anything that you don't like. So I added tomato paste, the one from Koo that I'm just showing you, and then I just moved it around. At this point it's really just a game of tasting. It's all about your taste buds. I added salt. Don't forget the salt, guys. So it's really about what you prefer when it comes to your sauce. So this is me adding sugar. You don't need to add anything that you don't like I said. So if you like it savory, or if you want your pizza to be hot or anything like that, you can go ahead and add some chilies. Honestly, you just add whatever that you want to add. I also added more sugar because I felt like it wasn't enough. So at this point I'm just tasting, as you can see. So just feel free to just taste everything. You know, if it doesn't feel right, you add what you feel like is missing. You add what you feel like it's missing until you are just satisfied, because it is just all about what you like and what you prefer. So guys, this was my dough, and it was a bit exaggerated because it was close to the sun, so it was a really hot day, so it was just exaggerated, guys. Like, it was not supposed to grow out that big, that huge. I did leave it out for an hour, so you're going to have to leave it out for 1 hour, guys. I left it out for an hour, but the reason why the reason why it was so exaggerated was because of the sun. It was really hot, and then it got in contact with the sun. So I use my knuckles on the pizza because I just want to make it easy for me when I put in my sauce. So I'm going to use the back of my pan as my board because I don't have a pizza board. And again, I'm going to use that trick of using a wet cloth so that I can be able to move around my pizza peacefully. And if while you're stretching your pizza, if you stretch it out and there's holes, you can just always mend them. It really just doesn't matter because it's really not going to be important once your pizza is done. It's not going to do anything to your pizza. You just fix it. If there's a hole, you just put it back in, you glue it together, if I may put it like that. So you can go ahead and put in your sauce. Also, guys, with the pizza dough, it doesn't really need to be round. Hey, it can just be any shape that you want, because the pizza is not really about the shape. The shape does not influence how the pizza is going to taste. But if you're like me and you feel like I'm used to seeing round pizza, so I want it to be round, then you can just go ahead and do that. So this is the mozzarella cheese that I'm going to be using. I did dice it up, so I'm just randomly putting it around. So if you know that you like a lot of this, you can grate it instead of dicing it up like this, actually, because when I started making pizza I used to grate it. I still do grate it sometimes. Most times actually I do grate it, but this time around I just felt like, let me just dice it up. So I did add my onions, and then I'm gonna add my mushrooms, and then I have my chicken pieces that I'm also gonna randomly throw around. And at this point, guys, honestly, after you put in your sauce onto the dough, you can throw in anything that you like. The important thing here is your sauce and the mozzarella cheese. After that, you can put in anything that you want. You don't have to put this. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this cream cheese that I got from Spa, and because I like cream cheese. So if you don't like cream cheese, you don't have to use it. You just shouldn't use it if you don't like it, because it's not gonna be nice for you. So otherwise, I like cream cheese, and that's why I'm putting it in. You just need to put in anything that you like. So if you're vegetarian, you don't need to put in meat. This is your playground, basically. Just play around and have fun, and put in anything and everything that you want to put into your pizza. So I'm gonna put it in my oven, and I went to check it. You need to keep checking it up, guys. So I did use that whole technique of poking it with my toothpick, and if the toothpick comes out dry, then it means your pizza is done, guys. You really don't need, it doesn't take that long, as you can see. Like, it's not exaggerated. I did not skip that much. It just really doesn't take that long to make pizza. So it can take you less than 10 minutes, honestly, in the oven. You just need to keep checking it, because it also depends on the heat of your oven. And as you can see, this is my pizza, and that is just the cheese dripping. And guys, I did need to pull my chair because I was so tired of standing. Honestly, I was tired, and it was hot as hell that day, so I was just not about to do this while standing up. So that's why I just decided I'm gonna sit down and I just ended up recording myself eating this beautiful pizza and it tasted so good. It tasted really great, guys. And also, guys, do not forget to like this video. Don't forget, like this video. If you're not subscribed, do subscribe and like. This is a short clip of my second pizza, guys. It was a double cheese, this one. I added a lot of mozzarella cheese, and this is just the second clip of how this one came out, and it tasted really good, and I do love cheese, yes.